You're staring at a never-ending to-do list, deadlines piling up, and it feels like the whole business world is pressing down on your shoulders. Your mind spins like a top, but then you wonder, can I find a way out of this? You might not survive this one. Don't worry, because tonight we're joining Napoleon Hill, the man who inspired millions of entrepreneurs with Think and Grow Rich, to explore how his mindset applies to modern practice and transforms the way you work today. So, before you get comfy, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you really vibe with what I'm doing here. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. What's the local time? I'm curious. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft in the background, and let's start tonight's journey together. You're sitting there, your back aching from the office chair, the pressure like a heavy blanket draped over you. But then you think of Napoleon Hill, who published Think and Grow Rich in 1937 after interviewing hundreds of successful leaders like Andrew Carnegie. Desire. That's the word he kept circling back to, like a small flame flickering inside every entrepreneur. You wonder what Hill's desire could do for you in this world, where everything moves as fast as a tweet. It's not just idle dreaming. Hill believed that a specific, clear desire is a foundation for turning ideas into cash. You close your eyes for a second. Picture yourself writing down your company's biggest goal, each word sharp like a contract. Desire, according to Hill, starts with asking yourself what you want and why. You open your eyes, grab a pen, and start sketching, maybe boosting revenue by 20% this year, or building a more creative team. History shows he'll spend over 20 years researching to distill this philosophy, meeting figures like Henry Ford and Thomas Edison. A quirky tidbit? He once took notes while sleeping, believing his best ideas came from dreams, waking up one time with an entire book chapter in his head. Scholars still debate whether Hill invented this method himself or just echoed collective wisdom, but the results speak for themselves. You lean back, the keyboard cool under your fingers, and start applying it. You write, I want my company to lead the tech market by 2026. It sounds bold, but Hill said big desires drive big actions. You're not just dreaming. You're mapping the path, small steps like crafting a social media marketing plan to boost engagement. Modernizing Hill's mindset means you don't wait for opportunities. You create them like startups exploding on TikTok overnight. You chuckle softly, thinking if Hill saw Gen Z selling via live stream, he'd nod approvingly, though maybe a bit baffled by the algorithm. But desire isn't easy. You feel the pressure thinking about competitors, those sleepless nights checking data. Hill advises you to hold desire like a lighthouse, guiding you through the fog. You recall last time when you nearly gave up on a failed ad campaign, but you pushed on and it landed a big contract. Now, your new desire feels like a promise to yourself. You add, I'll spend 30 minutes daily learning a new skill. It's small, but it'll set tiny steps lead to big wins. You pause, the fans gentle refilling the air, and feel a spark of hope. Hill's desire isn't just a wish. It's a mindset, a way of life that modern entrepreneurs like you can grab hold of. You think of CEOs using meditation to clarify goals. That's Hill in the 21st century. Here's a light joke. If Hill saw you zooming at 2 a.m., he'd probably say, you need rest before your desire burns to ashes. You smile, ready to carry this flame into tomorrow. The work's still there, but now you have a direction, a light from the past illuminating the future. You're still in that quiet office, the faint hum of the fan blending with the distant city sounds, the desk lamp casting a soft glow over your notes from last night. Your back's a little less tense now, that spark of desire from Napoleon Hill still flickering in your mind as you stare at your screen, a new project looming. The pressure's there, but you're ready to dig deeper into Hill's wisdom, this time focusing on the power of belief in yourself. It's not just wishful thinking. Hill taught that unwavering faith in your abilities can turn the tide in today's fast-paced business world, and you're about to see how it plays out. You shift in your chair, the leather creaking softly, and feel the cool edge of your laptop under your fingertips. That goal you wrote, leading the tech market by 2026, feels daunting, like climbing a mountain without a map. But Hill, who spent years studying success in the 1930s, said belief is the fuel that keeps you moving. He interviewed industrial giants like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before the light bulb clicked, and learned that faith in oneself turns setbacks into stepping stones. A strange detail: Hill once claimed he visualized success so vividly he could smell the money, a quirky habit that fueled his own rise. Scholars still debate whether this was pure optimism or a psychological trick, but it worked for him and his followers. You try it now, closing your eyes for a moment, picturing yourself pitching a groundbreaking idea to your team. You see their nods, hear their applause, feel the confidence surging through you. Hill called this auto-suggestion, repeating your goal until your mind accepts it as fact. You whisper to yourself, "I am capable of leading this company to the top." Your voice steady over the fan's hum. It feels odd at first, like talking to a mirror, but then you notice a shift. Your shoulders relax. And that mountain doesn't seem so steep. In today's world, belief translates to pitching to investors via Zoom, trusting your gut when data's murky, or pushing a risky marketing campaign, because you know it'll work. Belief isn't blind, though. Hill warned it needs action to back it up. You open your laptop, drafting an email to schedule a brainstorming session, your fingers moving with new purpose. You remember that failed ad campaign from before. How doubt nearly stopped you, but belief kept you going until it paid off. Now, you're applying that same faith, imagining your team's next big win. Modern businesses thrive on this. Think of startup founders who pitch with unshakable confidence, landing deals despite slim odds. You smirk, thinking if Hill saw a TED Talk, he'd nod at the self-belief radiating from the stage. The challenge hits when doubt creeps in. Maybe a competitor's outpacing you or a client pulls out. Hill's answer? Reinforce your belief with daily affirmations. You jot down, "I trust my vision," and stick it on your monitor, a little reminder amid the chaos. History shows Hill used this with struggling entrepreneurs during the Great Depression, turning their despair into determination. One odd fact? He once advised a client to meditate on success for 30 minutes daily. Sounds like a hippie trick, but it built empires. You try it, close your eyes again, and feel a quiet strength building. Here's a chuckle. I once told myself I'd master spreadsheets, and after a week of muttering affirmations, I still mess up the formulas. Turns out belief needs a tutorial too. Back at your desk, you notice the energy shifting. Your team responds to your email, excited for the meeting, and you feel that belief spreading. It's not magic. It's Hill's method, updated for today's hustle. You think of CEOs meditating before big decisions, a nod to Hill's techniques in a high-tech world. Another laugh. If Hill saw you panic scrolling X of market trends, he'd say, "Focus, kid, belief beats scrolling." As the morning light filters through the window, you sense progress. That desire from last night is now paired with belief, like adding fuel to a fire. The office feels less like a battlefield and more like a launch pad. You're not just dreaming. You're building a mindset Hill would recognize, one that modern entrepreneurs lean on to survive and thrive. Ready to take the next step? It's about turning that belief into a plan. The fan's gentle hum is a steady backdrop, and your sticky note, "I trust my vision," still clings to your monitor, a quiet reminder of the belief you've been building. That desire to lead the tech market by 2026, paired with newfound faith in yourself, has you buzzing with energy. But Napoleon Hill knew that belief alone won't get you there. It needs a map. You're ready to dive into his next principle, creating a definite plan of action. In today's world, where businesses pivot faster than a trending hashtag, Hill's structured planning can sharpen your strategy, and you're about to put to work. You stretch your arms, hearing a soft crack in your shoulders, and take a sip of lukewarm coffee. The bitter taste grounding you. Your inbox is already pinging. Team updates, client requests, a looming deadline for that new project. Hill, who studied success in the 1930s, insisted that a clear plan turns dreams into results. He worked with tycoons like Andrew Carnegie, who swore by detailed strategies to build empires. A quirky detail? Hill once carried a notebook everywhere, sketching plans during train rides. Some say he'd even doodle in the margins, as if ideas couldn't wait. Scholars still debate whether his planning obsession stemmed from his mentors or his own need for control, but it's a cornerstone of his philosophy. You grab a fresh sheet of paper, the crispness satisfying under your pen, and start breaking down your goal. Hill's method is simple. Write your objective, list the steps, and set a timeline. You scribble, step 1, research market trends on X and LinkedIn this week. Then, step 2, brainstorm product features with the team by Friday. In 2025, planning looks like syncing your Google Calendar with your team, setting Slack reminders, or using AI tools to predict customer behavior. Hill's era didn't have algorithms, but his focus on clarity translates perfectly. You're not just winging it, you're building a roadmap. The beauty of Hill's planning is its specificity. You don't just say, I'll grow the company. You map out how. Maybe hiring a social media manager to boost your brand, or pitching to 3 new investors by next month. You feel the pen glide as you write, each step making the goal less daunting, like breaking a boulder into pebbles. Hill taught this to struggling businesses during the Great Depression, helping them chart paths out of chaos. One odd fact? He once planned a book launch down to the hour, even scheduling his coffee breaks. Talk about dedication. You laugh softly, thinking if Hill saw your cluttered Trello board, he'd probably grab a red pen and organize it himself. But planning isn't just about lists. It's about focus. You notice your phone buzzing with notifications, tempting you to scroll. Hill would tell you to tune out the noise. You silence your phone, a small act of discipline, and keep going. Step 3, test a prototype by mid-June. In today's business world, this might mean running A/B tests on your website or launching a beta app to gather feedback. You're blending Hill's old-school precision with modern tools, like using analytics to refine your plan. Ever try planning a project only to get distracted by a viral cat video? I did once, and my deadline turned into a catastrophe. Sorry, couldn't resist. Your plan starts taking shape, and you feel a surge of control, like you're steering a ship through choppy waters. The desire and belief from before are now grounded in action, each step a thread connecting your vision to reality. You think back to that failed ad campaign, how a lack of planning sank it until you regrouped. Now you're wiser, mapping out every move. Hill's principles are alive in today's entrepreneurs. Think of tech founders who storyboard their apps before coding a single line. Another chuckle. If Hill were here, he'd probably plan your coffee runs. 1 latte at 9 a.m., success by noon. The office clock ticks softly as you finish your list, a clear path laid out. The morning light feels like a spotlight on your work, and you're not just dreaming or believing. You're doing. Hill's planning method, born nearly a century ago, fits right into your modern hustle, giving you a framework to turn chaos into progress. You're ready to take this plan to your team. But first, there's another piece of Hill's wisdom waiting to make your strategy even stronger. The fans and blends of the distant clatter of your team settling in, and that sticky note, I trust my vision, catches your eye, a quiet anchor from the belief you've been nurturing. Your roadmap to lead the tech market by 2026 is taking shape, but Napoleon Hill knew solo efforts rarely conquer mountains. You're ready to explore his next lesson, the power of cooperation and teamwork. In today's interconnected business world, Hill's emphasis on building a mastermind group can elevate your team's game, and you're about to see it unfold. You lean back, the chair creaking softly, and feel the cool air from the vent brush your face. Your inbox pings with a reply from your team. Everyone's on board for the brainstorming session you planned. Hill, who honed his ideas in the 1930s amid economic turmoil, believed that combining minds multiplies success. He learned this from industrial giants like Henry Ford, whose assembly lines thrived on collaboration. A quirky detail, Hill once held mastermind meetings in a dimly lit room, claiming the atmosphere sparked genius. Some say he even burned candles to set the mood. Scholars still debate whether this was a practical strategy or just Hill's flair for drama, but it worked wonders for those he mentored. You open your calendar, scheduling the meeting for this afternoon, and picture your team, each with their unique skills, coming together. Hill's mastermind concept isn't just about meetings. It's about syncing energies, sharing ideas, and supporting each other. You jot a note. Leverage Sarah's marketing savvy, Mike's tech insights, and Priya's data crunching. In 2025, this looks like hopping on a video call, using shared docs to brainstorm, or even running a quick poll on Slack to gauge ideas. Hill's era didn't have digital tools, but his focus on collective strength fits perfectly. Your team becomes a powerhouse when united. Cooperation isn't always smooth, though. You recall that failed ad campaign, how miscommunication between departments nearly derailed it until you rallied everyone. Now you're proactive, planning to set clear roles. Sarah drafts the pitch. Mike codes a demo. Priya analyzes the metrics. Hill taught that a mastermind group thrives when egos step aside, and you feel that shift as you prep. Less about you leading, more about everyone lifting. History shows Hill used this to help struggling businesses during the Depression, turning rival shopkeepers into allies. One odd fact? He once mediated a feud between two partners with a single dinner. Talk about a peacemaker. The morning rolls on, and you sense the energy building. You send a quick message. Let's make this our best idea yet. In today's world, cooperation means tapping into remote teams across time zones or crowdsourcing feedback on X. You smile, thinking if Hill saw your virtual whiteboards, he'd marvel at the scale, though he might miss the candlelight. Here's a chuckle. I once tried leading a mastermind with my cat, but she just napped through my genius plan. Team works harder with fur. Back at your desk, you feel the plan from before gaining traction, desire, belief, and now collaboration, like adding gears to a machine. Challenges arise when personalities clash. Maybe Mike and Sarah butt heads over creative control. Hill's advice? Focus on the shared goal. You draft a reminder. We're here to win the market, not the argument. It's like herding cats, but with patience they align. You think of modern CEOs who build diverse boards, a nod to Hill's mastermind in action. Another laugh. If Hill saw a Zoom crash mid-meeting, he'd probably light a candle and call it a sign to regroup. As the clock nears noon, the office buzz grows. Your team's excitement filters through emails, and you feel the power of their combined effort. That desire to lead, the belief in yourself, and now this teamwork. It's a foundation Hill would recognize, updated for today's digital hustle. The plan's alive, and your next step with Hill's wisdom is waiting to refine it further. That sticky note, I trust my vision, still holds its place, a beacon from belief you've cultivated, while your team's enthusiasm from yesterday's planning lingers in your inbox. Your roadmap to dominate the tech market by 2026 is gaining momentum, fueled by desire, belief, and teamwork. But Napoleon Hill knew the mind can be a battlefield. You're ready to tackle his next principle, mastering your thoughts. In today's high-stakes business world, controlling your mindset can cut through pressure like a knife, and you're about to harness it. You roll your shoulders, feeling a slight stiffness from last night's late emails, and sip some water, the coolness refreshing your focus. Your screen flashes with a sudden dip in sales data, and panic nudges at you. Competitors are gaining, deadlines loom. Hill, who shaped his ideas in the 1930s through years of study, taught that your thoughts shape your reality. He worked with leaders like Andrew Carnegie, who credited mental discipline for their empires. A quirky detail? Hill kept a journal to track his thoughts, once writing down every worry to evict them from his mind. Sounds like therapy before therapy was a thing. Scholars still debate whether this was a genius hack or just Hill's way of staying sane, but it built his legacy. You take a deep breath, deciding to try it. You grab a notebook, the paper rustling under your pen, and write, I'm worried about the sales drop. Then you counter it with, I can pivot our strategy and recover. Hill called this positive thinking with purpose, replacing doubt with deliberate focus. You feel your chest loosen as you scribble, like unloading a backpack mid-hike. In 2025, this means silencing the noise of endless notifications, meditating for 5 minutes before a big call, or reframing a rejection as a lesson. Hill's era didn't have mindfulness apps, but his principle fits. Your mind is a control room, and you're taking the helm. Controlling thoughts isn't easy when stress hits. You recall that failed ad campaign, how negative thoughts spiraled until you refocus on the goal. Now, you practice Hill's method, visualizing success, your team celebrating a new product launch, clients cheering. It's not denial, it's steering your mind like a ship through a storm. History shows Hill used this with Depression-era entrepreneurs, turning despair into action. One odd fact? He once advised a client to repeat affirmations aloud in a mirror. Awkward, but it rebuilt their confidence. You try it quietly, murmuring, "I control my success," and feel a spark of resolve. The morning wears on, and you notice a shift. A tough email from a client stings. But instead of spiraling, you write down the issue. They're upset about delays, then plan a response. "I'll offer a discount and a faster fix." Hill's control turns pressure into productivity, like a chef flipping a burnt dish into something salvageable. In today's world, think of CEOs using cognitive behavioral tricks to stay calm during crises. Hill's wisdom in a modern suit. Here's a chuckle. "I once tried controlling my thoughts during a traffic jam, but all I got was a song stuck in my head. Turns out focus needs practice." Back at your desk, you feel steadier. The sales dip less daunting. Challenges linger. Maybe a teammate's pessimism drags you down. Hill's fix? Surround yourself with positivity. You send an encouraging Slack message, lifting the vibe. You think of that desire from the start, the belief that grew, the plan you built, and now this mental mastery. It's a chain strengthening your hustle. Another laugh. If Hill saw you doom scrolling extra bad news, he'd say, "Put that phone down and think big." The office feels less chaotic, your mind a clearer lens. As the clock nears lunchtime, you sense control. That teamwork from yesterday pairs with this mindset, turning your office into a launch pad. Hill's thought mastery, born decades ago, fits your modern grind, readying you for the next challenge. What's coming next? A test of endurance. That sticky note, "I trust my vision," still glimmers in the corner of your eye, a testament to the desire, belief, planning, teamwork, and mental control you've built with Napoleon Hill's guidance. Your path to lead the tech market by 2026 feels solid, but Hill knew even the strongest plans face storms. You're ready to embrace his final lesson. Perseverance through challenges. In today's relentless business landscape, Hill's stubborn resolve can pull you through failures, and you're about to test it. You stretch your legs under the desk, feeling a faint ache from sitting too long, and glance at your screen. Another email flags a setback, a key investor pulling out, leaving a knot in your stomach. Hill, who forged his philosophy in the 1930s amid economic collapse, saw perseverance as the backbone of success. He learned from figures like Thomas Edison, who endured thousands of failed experiments before the light bulb shone. A quirky detail, Hill once walked miles in the rain to meet a mentor, refusing to let weather stop his quest. Talk about dedication. Scholars still debate whether this grit was innate or honed through hardship, but it defined his teachings. You take a deep breath, letting the cool air steady you, and decide to push forward. Hill said perseverance means acting despite defeat, getting up after every fall. You open a new doc, typing, "Investor loss, but I'll find 3 more by next month." It's not easy. Doubt whispers that you're chasing a lost cause, but you recall that failed ad campaign, how you persisted, regrouped, and won a contract. Now, you channel that grit, imagining yourself pitching with renewed vigor, your voice firm over the fans' hum. In 2025, perseverance looks like tweaking a failing app after bad reviews, rallying your team after a product flop, or doubling down on a strategy when trends shift. Perseverance demands focus when fatigue sets in. You feel the weight of late nights, but Hill's advice echoes. Keep the end in mind. You write a reminder. 2026 success is worth this, and pin it beside your monitor. History shows Hill used this with struggling businesses during the Depression, urging them to outlast the downturn. One odd fact? He once fasted for a day to clear his mind and regain resolve. Extreme, but it worked. You sip water instead, a modern twist, and feel a surge of determination. Today's entrepreneurs embody this. Think of founders who pivoted after bankruptcy to build billion-dollar brands. Challenges test you harder. Maybe a teammate quits or a competitor launches first. Hill's fix? Break the problem into pieces. You list 1. Update pitch deck. 2. Network at the conference next week. 3. Reassess budget. It's like chopping wood, one swing at a time. You think of that desire from the start, the belief that grew, the plan you crafted, the teamwork that lifted you, and the thought control that steadied you, all now fortified by this resolve. Here's a chuckle. I once persevered through a burnt dinner, only to realize takeout was a real win. Sometimes grit needs a backup. Back at your desk, You feel stronger. The setback a bump, not a wall. The morning deepens, and you notice a shift. Your team's energy lifts as you share the new plan, their nods fueling your resolve. In today's world, perseverance means weathering algorithm changes or supply chain hiccups. Hill's spirit in a digital age. Another laugh. If Hill saw you refreshing your inbox for good news, he'd say, "Keep chopping. The forest will clear." The office feels like a forge, each challenge tempering your steel. As 8:20 a.m. nears, you sense victory in the struggle. That investor loss stings, but you're moving forward. Hill's perseverance your shield. The journey is complete. Desire, belief, planning, teamwork, thought control, and now this grit, readying you for a modern business triumph. What's next? A moment to rest and reflect. You've woven his wisdom, desire, belief, planning, teamwork, thought control, and perseverance into your modern hustle, turning setbacks into stepping stones toward 2026. The weight of that lost investor lifts slowly, like mist dissolving the sun, and you feel a calm settling deep within. Your breath slows, matching the rhythm of the room, as the screens around you blur into a soft glow. You've learned to navigate this chaotic world, haven't you? The path ahead stretches wide, but it's lit by Hill's timeless lessons, guiding you through storms with grace. The office walls seem to melt away, leaving only the warmth of your resolve, a quiet strength to carry forward. Let the day's noise fade. Let your mind drift into this peace, and rest easy knowing you're ready for whatever comes.